Hello, fellow fiends. Welcome to another episode of Creepy Cases and Spooky Spaces. I am your creator and host, Cassiopeia. Don't forget, you can find me every Friday with new episodes of the creepy and the spooky. Also, if you subscribe to the Patreon or the Anchor pages, which you can do for as little as $5 a month, you get bonus episodes, a merchandise discount, thank you swag, and a mention in future episodes. If you'd like to support without subscribing, I have a Cash App and a Venmo. You can also follow on social media. You can share, comment, basically all the things you do on a daily basis that actually helps get the podcast seen and spread the word as well. Also, if you'd like to support without subscribing, you can buy merchandise in the Wiccan Fae shop at pizzaandpigtails.com. And the merchandise and the candles, both of those help. And if you are a small business or a big business, I don't discriminate, who is looking to get the word out on your creations, send me an email at creepycases.spookyspaces@gmail.com and I can send you a list of all of the packages that I offer. And now that that's out of the way, let's get on to today's episode. So, today's episode is actually one that made my blood absolutely boil. There's going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of different emotions with this episode today, as I'm also going to make the disclaimer that this week's creepy case is about the murder of a young man, and the details are a little gruesome. And there are some talks of racism, but obviously I don't condone racism. I'm just letting you know that it is related to this case. So if certain things you don't want to listen to or hear about, I do not recommend this episode. So let's dive in. So on October 9th, 1983, the body of a 23-year-old black man was found by squirrel hunters in the woods off of a power line encasement in Sunnyside, Georgia. Now, the details of his death are pretty brutal, and the newspaper described him as 5'7" with a light goatee and a tattoo on his left hand. Now, he had been stabbed dozens of times and had an X carved into his stomach, and the same thing was on his back. He had also been chained to the back of a truck and dragged through a field, being left to die under a massive oak tree known in the area as the hanging tree. Defensive wounds on his hands and arms indicated that he struggled with his killers before being left to die. Now, only after a few short months of police investigation, no arrests were made, the case was closed, and for 34 years, the case remained unsolved until 2016, after new evidence surfaced, and the case was reopened, and it actually led to the arrest of 5 people. Join me now as I tell you about the creepy case of Timothy Coggins. Timothy Wayne Coggins was born on August 29th, 1960 in Griffin, Georgia, the fourth of 8 children who grew up in Spalding County, a rural farming county just 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. He was from a pretty large family in a divided area where white people stayed on one side of the tracks and the people of color stayed on the other. Now, Timothy's younger sister, Talisa, described him as young, exuberant, and he loved to dance. He was charismatic with a broad smile. Now, she actually did an interview with GQ, and she said that Timothy was the sibling that she was closest to. He taught her how to ride her bike, how to navigate around the town on her own, and when she had her first child, Timothy was the first to show up and congratulate her at the hospital. Now, she described him as funny and outgoing. He loved to stay out late and party with old friends and new, and that he actually never met a stranger. On October 7th, 1983, Talisa and Tim went to the People's Choice Club, a brick building painted black and tan with an inviting red sign tucked around the bend of a quiet road. Now, Tim actually knew the owner of this club and he would do odds and ends jobs here just to make a little extra money. And being a Friday night with a fully stocked bar and hot barbecue for sale, it was the place to be. Now, Tim went directly to the dance floor while Talisa made her way to the restroom. And when she came out, she couldn't find Tim. Now she started kind of asking around, like, where'd he go? And people told her that he had left with some white men who had actually been asking for him, but nobody seemed to know who these men were. So she was also told that Tim had been dancing with a white woman, which was frowned upon in the area at this time. It's kind of weird when you think about it that this is the 1980s, and I mean, of course, now with a lot of stuff going on in the world, it's not as crazy to think about. But you would think, just because I feel like the 1980s and 90s, people were a little more accepting and more, just a little bit more progressive thinking. And it's a little odd that this was still going on at that time. Now, Talisa returned home around 4 a.m. on October 8th. Tim had not shown up, which it was common for him to disappear for a few days at a time. He knew a lot of people around town, so the family assumed that he was staying at a friend's house. Plus, she was told by others that Tim knew the men that he left with, so the family wasn't really concerned. However, on October 9th, the body of Timothy Coggins was found in a field. He was only wearing a pair of pants and underwear, which had been pulled down, like right below his. as well. And, as always, see you next crime.